Your country's in big trouble.
Can I
Wait a
answer?
minute. No.
Can
You've
I
done a lot
answer?
of talking.
Trump just changed everything, and I mean everything. We're talking about a full reset, our relationship with Europe, our stance on free speech, our focus here in the United States. This isn't just about the fireworks in the Oval Office between President Trump and Ukrainian dictator Zelensky on Friday. No. This is a major shift for the United States. And yet, of course, most people are only focused on the drama, and they're missing the much bigger picture here. So let me tell you what's really happening. Trump is saying enough. Enough with Europe treating America like a piggy bank. Enough with Ukraine pretending that this war can be won with an endless supply of American cash. Enough with the United States footing the bill while Europeans work 35-hour work weeks and expect us to carry the burden for them. Journalist Michael Schellenberger just laid it out exactly what's going on here. I love this. Watch.
There's something I need to say, and I need to be blunt. So let me start by saying I love Europe. You Europeans do not respect Americans. You can protest and say, no, we love America. No, you don't. We know you look down on us. You think you're better than us. And in some ways you are. You know, you work 35 hours a week. This thing where Ukraine comes to the White House and acts like it can tell us what we should do, that's not what the relationship is. This thing where somehow we're on the hook, including for countries that are not in NATO, that was never the deal. Ukraine is not part of NATO. We were never obligated to protect Ukraine. People on the left, on the right, they do not want to be in a nuclear war with Russia. How can we explain this to you? But the behavior that we're seeing coming out of European leaders and out of Zelensky just now in the Oval Office suggests that the relationship is over.
Boom. He's right. That's the reality. This is about realigning America's priorities. No more free rides. And Zelensky, he just found out the hard way. Unless Europe wants to foot the bill, Zelensky flew in on Saturday to London to beg for more weapons and money from Keir Starmer, and the United Kingdom appears to be going along with it, saying, yeah, the world and the United Kingdom stands with Zelensky. And amazingly, they just announced that Britain has signed a 100-year agreement to support Ukraine militarily and financially. Great. This includes providing Ukraine $3 billion a year until the year 2031, and to support them as long as they need. You see what's happening here. A global reset. The U.S. is done with him. It's over. Europe can have him. Take this little cocaine-sniffing troll, Europe. You can have him. Europe can go into World War III by continuing this war. So just for context here, Zelensky flies into Washington, D.C., expecting another blank check. He's used to sort of the weekend at Bernie's President Biden writing blank checks. Instead, he walks into the Oval Office, sits down with Trump, and then within a few minutes, things go off the rails when he tries to play tough with Trump in front of the media. Trump's not having it. Trump lays out a deal, a minerals deal that could have ended this war, secured Ukraine's future, and actually benefited America. And what does Zelensky do? He flips out, tries to tell us that America hasn't done enough diplomacy. Where have you guys been? How do you think that sat with him? How do you think that sat with Trump and J.D. Vance? That America needs to do more? Well, that led Trump and J.D. Vance to basically flip out on this cocaine-sniffing dictator.
Your country's in big trouble.
Can I
Wait a
answer?
minute. No.
Can
You've
I
done a lot
answer?
of talking. Your country is in big trouble.
I know.
You're not winning.
I know.
You're not winning this. You have a damn good chance of
we
coming
are
out
staying,
okay because of
Mr.
us.
President.
But the truth is, Zelensky wasn't interested in peace. He wasn't interested in rebuilding Ukraine. He wanted more money and more weapons, more war. And worst of all, someone in the deep state told him to play tough with Trump. See, that's the real story here. Who told Zelensky to tank this deal? Who told Zelensky to take this hardline stance? Because make no mistake about it, he was given marching orders from somebody. And now reports indicate those figures from the previous Obama-Biden administration were to blame, including Susan Rice and the demon herself, Victoria Nuland, advised Zelensky to reject Trump's deal. Can you believe this? This kind of back-channel interference could potentially violate the Logan Act. So what's the Logan Act, you might be asking? Well, it was enacted back in 1799, and it prohibits unauthorized American citizens from negotiating with foreign governments. The goal is to prevent private individuals from undermining U.S. foreign policy. So if officials like Rice and Nuland advise Zelensky without authorization, they could be in some serious legal jeopardy and go to prison for the rest of their lives.
Obviously, it's a very sad day and an embarrassment for the United States on the world stage. It was a play to his base, but above all, it was a play to Vladimir Putin, to show fealty to Vladimir Putin.
I mean, listen to her, the hubris. Who are you to tell Trump how to handle these negotiations? But we can even show you the moment Zelensky received a message during this meeting with Trump. Around the 34-minute mark, something interesting happens. You can see him being handed a message, a reminder from the Obama team to play tough with Trump. Don't take this deal. You can watch closely as this happens. Zelensky somehow still thinks he can win this war by retaking Crimea, pushing Russia back, magically making Ukraine whole again. That's a fantasy. It's not happening.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because you're in no position to dictate that.
That's exactly what you're doing.
You're in no position to dictate what we're going to feel. We're going to feel very good.
You will feel influence.
We're going to feel very good and very strong.
You will feel influence.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed yourself to be in a very bad position, and he happens to be right about it.
From the very beginning of the war.
You're not in a good position. You don't have the
headed-
cards right now. With us, you start having
I'm not playing cards.
Right now, you
I'm
don't.
very
You're
serious,
playing cards.
Mr. President.
You're
I'm
playing
very
cards.
serious.
You're
I'm
gambling
the
with the
president
lives
in
of
war.
millions of people.
You think-
You're gambling with World War III.
What do you
You're
speak about?
gambling with
What do you
World
speak
War
about?
III.
I mean, that's the truth. One that Zelensky refuses to hear. He's pushing a dead-end strategy that only guarantees more Ukrainians die. But here's the bigger picture. The real minerals deal isn't even in parts of Ukraine that Zelensky controls anymore. The areas Trump was trying to make a deal on. Not the prime regions, not the good regions. The real prize has always been in what was once eastern Ukraine, but is now Russia. I'm talking about the Donbas region, Donetsk, Luhansk. This is where the richest mineral deposits are. And guess what? That land now belongs to Russia. It's part of the Russian Federation. Zelensky shot himself in the foot by rejecting Trump's minerals deal. Even it wasn't a great deal because it's not really that great of minerals in those areas. Because the real leverage wasn't even in his hands anymore anyway. Let's go back to a great book called Borderland, A Journey Through the History of Ukraine. And here's a key quote in this book. Quote, Ukrainian politicians' worst nightmare is the Donbas separatism, the fear that one day Eastern Ukraine will want autonomy or even bid to rejoin Russia. Yes, go back to being part of Russia. And they did overwhelmingly. That ship has sailed. Since 2014, Ukraine has carried out a genocide against those people, those ethnic Russians living in that region. And 2 years ago, those regions voted overwhelmingly, over 90% vote, to join Russia. And with them, they took the minerals. Sorry, Zelensky. So what happens next? The real minerals deal is going to happen, not with Ukraine. It's going to happen now between the United States and Russia, because reports indicate that Putin has already agreed to a deal that would allow the United States companies to access minerals rich in that region, in Donetsk, in Luhansk. Because at the end of the day, Russia has the resources and America needs them. Ukraine really does not. And while everyone was distracted by the theatrics on Friday, Trump was playing a much bigger game here. Because this entire debacle wasn't just about Ukraine, it was about America's economic independence. It was about a massive shift that's happening right now. The old world order breaking down. Trump is making it clear America comes first. And Europe, if you don't like it, sorry. If you want World War III, because you're going to keep pushing this war in Ukraine, so be it. We're out. We're done. So that's the news update part of today's video. Now I want to tell you about today's sponsor, which is tied directly to President Trump's minerals declaration that he just made on Truth Social last week. Did you see this? Because this is an America First declaration by a long shot, that he wants to bring copper mining back home to America. Quoting him now, listen. Like our steel and aluminum industries, our great American copper industry has been decimated by global actors attacking our domestic production. To build back our copper industry, I've requested my Secretary of Commerce and the USTR to study the copper imports and end unfair trade practices putting Americans out of work. Tariffs will help build back our American copper industry and strengthen our national defense. American industries depend on copper, and it should be made in America. No exceptions, he says, no exceptions. America First creates American jobs and protects our national security. It's time for copper to come home. Hallelujah. Trump made it clear that he's putting America first. His stated energy goal is to drill, baby, drill, unlocking America's vast riches. And he's already slapped tariffs on aluminum and steel, promised copper is coming next, guys. And this is from the USGS, the Mineral Commodity Summaries of 2025. It says copper is a critical mineral due to its essential applications in energy infrastructure and defense, with U.S. production of 1.2 million tons offset by significant imports, highlighting the supply chain risks. So basically what he's saying, instead of America drilling for copper, we've been relying on all these imports. He's basically saying this ends now. On February 14th, Executive Order 14213 was issued by the Trump administration's National Energy Dominance Council. This directive implicitly prioritizes copper as a critical resource because of its pivotal role in national energy security and economic strategy.
Copper is a critical material, and the supply of copper is vital to our national security.
American industries depend on copper, and they should be made in America.
So, given that China consumes 57% of the world's copper, the executive order emphasizes the urgent need for the United States to enhance its domestic copper production. And that's where Giant Mining comes in. Here's their ticker on your screen, and they are a proud sponsor of today's video. So check this out. Not only does Giant Mining own and operate a copper, silver, gold project in Nevada, but it also just recorded its best ever drill intercepts back in September of 2024. So Nevada, where Giant Mining's copper project is situated, is constantly ranked among the top mining jurisdictions in the world, which is why I'm bringing this company to your attention right now. Giant Mining's treasury is now fully funded for its drilling programs this year in 2025. Giant Mining is well positioned to accelerate its exploration efforts and potentially capitalize on emerging copper market opportunities right now. This is great news, in my personal opinion. So Giant Mining actually owns the Majuba Hill Copper Project, which is a past producing mine. This is a big deal because in the past 4 years, management and the company's geologists have actually expanded the copper deposit. And this past September, Giant Mining hit their best ever drill hole. Now, BHP Billiton and Rio Tinto, two of the largest copper producers in the world, are warning that copper supply cannot possibly meet the future demand from artificial intelligence, the construction renaissance in the United States, and the demand out of China. That's why Goldman Sachs is warning of a deficit deepening between 2025 and 2027, with prices potentially hitting $15,000 a ton for copper. That's huge. So BMI predicts a looming supply deficit driving long-term price gains. So Trump is right. We need to drill here at home like it was yesterday. Meanwhile, the share price of Giant Mining has depreciated from a peak back in 2023 of $4.20. That's where it was back on January 13th of 2023. It was $4.20 a share. Now, as of this recording, 27 cents a share. That's more than 90% lower. But since Trump's election victory on November 5th, the share price has already doubled. So just so you understand, the historic underground mines at the Majuba Hill project produced copper, tin, and silver from the early 1900s all the way up to the 1950s, including 2.8 million pounds of copper, 184,000 ounces of silver, 5,800 ounces of gold, 21,000 pounds of tin. So I will say this again, all of these factors and the ones I'm about to tell you about are the ones that led to my significant bullish opinion about Giant Mining. The infrastructure is ready there at the mine. Access roads, power supply, transportation. They have a water supply. They have ore stockpiles. They have processing space. They have a processing plant right there on site. So Giant Mining just hit their highest grade drill hole to date. Therefore, when I combine the following pro-business administration and the Trump administration right now, new minerals legislation to include copper as a critical mineral in the United States, and the looming supply shortage, and the fact that Giant Mining's share price is already up 100% since Trump was inaugurated, I am ultra bullish on this company. Goldman Sachs forecasts copper prices reaching $15,000 a ton this year. So guys, do your own homework on Giant Mining, okay? I've just given you some basic information. Here's their ticker on your screen. I'll have links to their website and their projects in the description. Do your own due diligence, look through their financials, and study what they're about to do. And we'll see you next time, everyone.